Yes, Honorable Minority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, this is the second time I'm going to repeat this, and I do so with great pain. The Majority Leader must be careful with the kind of precedents he wants to set. First of all, his argument that the question under 7C was filed before. Okay, well, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, the Finance Minister is here already. He's ready to take it. Our people say too much meat does not spoil the soup.
But, Mr. Speaker, I'm happy he has eaten a humble pie and taken back his application. But I need to respond to the issue for the record. Hansa's sake. I filed my question after the policy statement had been presented. I didn't file it prior. So I just want the record to capture it as such. On that of my other colleagues, I do not know, but I'm sure they would speak to it at the appropriate time since they are not in the chamber yet. That notwithstanding, Mr. Speaker, these questions have been admitted. The minister is here to answer them, and I'm happy that the Majority Leader has now conceded that the minister is here to answer. But he has to desist from this practice. He has to desist from this practice that as a man trained in the land of liberty, he was trained far away in America, a land where liberty is celebrated and democracy has been entrenched for over 300 years. He now wants to use his status as leader of government business to obstruct the minority from doing its work. Mr. Speaker, he did it a week ago when we were going to move a motion on this directive by the Chief of Staff, and he got a ruling in his favor. So he...
Question. Item numbered 7. A. Standing in the name of Osahin Alexander Kwamina Afenyo-Markins. And I will want to add Togbi to say Togbi Osahin Alexander Kwamina Afenyo-Markins. You have the floor. Minister, take your seat. Yes, Honorable Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I think that you are gradually empowering this House to remove someone as a member of Parliament, because he started as Osahin and we kept quiet. Now he's acquiescing to the addition of Togbi. Mr. Speaker, you know that the Constitution doesn't allow members of Parliament to be chiefs and chiefs to be members of Parliament. Mr. Speaker, if he goes towards the north, to also get a skin title, we will be compelled to move against him.
Yeah, except that Togbi does not necessarily mean chief. An old man is also called Togbi. So Togbi doesn't necessarily mean a chief. Honourable members, let's make progress. Honourable Minority Leader, you have the floor.
Mr. Speaker, the Minister of Interior has not taken his seat. Yes, please. As a former leader, he insists that he has to be called before he comes. He's a man of procedure. And he has brought the men in black into this chamber. Nobody is going to allow you to introduce anybody. Bring the person you've dismissed and then introduce the one you have brought. After the man has helped you, you dismiss him. Yes.
Yes, Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this is a house of records. And for a leader to make a statement that is purely based on conjecture, I never knew that the responsibility of IGPs is to help people. So maybe perhaps he needs to expatiate on that, the kind of help. He has information that we may not know, and he needs to expatiate on that so that we'll be able to, because this is a house of record. Because if not, then it should be expunged. It has no place as far as the records of proceedings of this house is concerned. Withdraw and apologize.
Let me also hear Majority Chief Whip.
Speaker, I thank you for, Speaker, in addition to, Mr. Speaker, Speaker, I thank you for the opportunity. Mr. Speaker, you being an excellent lawyer knows that a multitude of suspicions do not constitute proof. And I think that the minority leader's statements directed at the Minister for Interior with additional responsibility for national security, that we were helped. And after the man who helped us, he dismissed him. I believe that it should be withdrawn and apology rendered. And then I believe that we can make progress this morning. Speaker, I thank you.
Honorable Minority Leader, you've heard them.
Mr. Speaker.
Honourable members, order.
Mr. Speaker, I made a political statement. I made a political statement. And Mr. Speaker, the point is that I have not attributed this political statement to the NDC. I didn't say that. Mr. Speaker, please. He understands what I understand. Please, don't get involved. Don't get involved. Mr. Speaker, the point is that when the Minister for Government Communications issued a statement announcing Mr. Yohonu as a new IGP, he did not thank Dampari for his services to the nation.
Honorable
so, Mr. Speaker, but let's
sleeping
dogs lie.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, let's sleeping dogs lie. This is a matter on a lighter note.
So,
Mr. Speaker, this is a political
honourable members are direct that the statement be expunged from the record. Honourable members, question number 7A.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to ask the Minister for the Interior the steps taken to ensure the enforcement of the law in response to the recent violence during the Council of State elections in the Ashanti region on Tuesday, 11 February 2025, particularly regarding the reported instance of thugs overpowering the police. Thank you.
Honourable Minister, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'm here to answer these questions, and I'm accompanied by the newly appointed Inspector General of Police in the person of COP Christian Tete Yohonu. Mr. Speaker, this is the first time that he's coming here, and I thought that I need to mention that he's here to answer the question with me. Right Honorable Speaker, the Ashanti Regional Council of State election began on the 11th of February 2025 at around 8 a.m. at the Regional Coordinating Council premises in Kumasi, which ended around 11:30 a.m. when sorting of ballots began. Mr. Speaker, Unfortunately, when counting was about to begin, some observers standing by ran over the barricades and destroyed the ballots and other election materials. Mr. Speaker, the Ghana Police has since launched an investigation into the disturbances. Footages of the incident have been obtained to assist in identifying the perpetrators who disrupted the process for their arrest and prosecution. Right Honorable Speaker, sequel to the investigation, the police administration accordingly adopted the following strategy to ensure a successful rerun of the election on the 17th February 2025. Change in the command structure, where the regional police commander himself was changed, and some other changes were made within the command to ensure strict compliance to election security protocol, including restricting access to the middle and inner perimeter to only Electoral Commission accredited personnel. The police administration has taken cue from the 11th February 2025 incident to ensure it does not reoccur in the future election. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much. Any supplementary?
Rightly so, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the minister in his answer took the opportunity to introduce the new IGP. I want to congratulate him on his appointment. Suffice to state that in the statement from the minister responsible for government communications, he told the country that the new IGP has spent 40 years in the service, 40 years as a police officer. So at the right time, we would calculate whether he entered at age 20, 19, or 18, his age and all. But he says, he stated publicly that the new IGP has spent 40 years in the service. That is just by the way.
Honorable Minority Leader, you are to ask a supplementary question.
Mr. Speaker, I am congratulating him because this is the first time he's introducing him. And then he talked about 40 years in the service. So I'm only doing the mathematics. Whether the IGP is going to retire very soon or what. But, Mr. Speaker, that's beside the point. I want to ask the minister, when should we expect this investigation to be completed, and when would the report be submitted for us to know? Because this is a serious matter of national importance. Tax overpowering police. And it's a good effort that you are investigating. But the question is, when are we expecting the investigation to be completed and the report be submitted?
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, as my colleague may know, I have given the police administration up to the end of this month to give me an update. But as to whether the investigation will be completed, like I said, they are looking at the footage and trying to identify the perpetrators, get them arrested and prosecuted. And as you may know, if you identify someone and you cannot find that person, how will you be able to say that at this particular date I can finish? But the update, I'm sure, they will give me periodic updates, and at the end of this month, I expect an update from the police administration on how far they've gone with the investigation and whether they've been able to make some arrests, and if they have, what they are doing. So surely when I get those updates and you are interested, why not? I'll let you know. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, we were told of some initial arrests. The media reported of some initial arrests. And these attacks interrupted the proceedings in a broad daylight. In a broad daylight. And we're told of some initial arrests. Can the minister tell us the status of prosecution of those who were initially arrested? The incident having taken place in a broad daylight.
Mr. Speaker, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the leader is telling me, the minority leader is telling me there was some arrest. My report doesn't indicate so. So I'll find out from the police, because what the media reports may be different from what the police report. So I'll cross-check from the police whether truly on that said day there were some arrests. But what they told me was that they are reviewing the CCTV footage, and they will be able to identify the people, because like you rightly said, it's a daylight thing, so you'll be able to identify who first jumped over the barricade and all that. Then they'll pick it from there. But the information to me hasn't indicated that there was any arrest on that day. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, the respected minister who also once served in leadership of this House is telling us that those tasks are being pursued. May I know from him whether he's committed into telling this House that should these tasks be found to be partisan activists, he will still pursue them irrespective.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I treat crime as crime. And as he rightly knows, crime has no color. And definitely, once you commit a crime, it does not really matter which party or which tribe or which religion or which group you come from. Once you commit a crime, crime has been committed. And I can assure him that once crime is committed, I will support the police 100% to do the needful and make sure that the perpetrators are brought to book. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, the minister again tells us that there were some changes in the command at the regional level because of such failings. Is he able to tell us whether, as a result, some disciplinary action is being taken, or, as has been the usual practice, these officers are only being reassigned to other units of within the police service?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, all the information the police gave me was that the command had to be changed because of the security breach. I want to find out from them whether what happened, the command structure that they are saying had been changed, requires that those officers that have been changed be punished. Because remember, they also have regulations that guide what they do and what constitutes a crime, what can institute a punishment or an inquiry on an officer. So I'll find out from them. But the information to me is that the command structure was changed to enable them have a different strategy for the re-election, which happened and it was very successful. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, finally on this matter, can the minister assure us that with the change in the command structure, the people of the Ashanti region should be assured of their peace?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'm very sure the people of Ashanti, which I'm one, can be rest assured because the subsequent election proved that the changes was effective and we had a very peaceful election that produced a result that everybody was happy with. So I can assure him that, yes, the people of Ashanti, including myself, can be rest assured that the changes have brought more professionalism into the operations of the police. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much. The next question is also standing in the name of Osahin Alexander Kwamina Afenyo-Markins.
Respectfully, Mr. Speaker, I stand to ask the Minister for the Interior the circumstances surrounding the attempted arrest of the Member of Parliament for Akutia, Honorable Enes Yakumi, by 10 operatives of the National Intelligence Bureau and 3 official pickup vehicles on Friday, the 7th of March 2025 in Akwetia.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the Koforidua High Court on 19 February 2025 issued a bench warrant for the arrest of Ernest Yao Kumi, Member of Parliament for Akwetia constituency. The warrant was served on the National Intelligence Bureau (NIB's) Eastern Regional Office through the National Security Coordinator. Right Honourable Speaker, the circumstances surrounding the attempted arrest of the Member of Parliament by the officers of the NIB was therefore to carry out the orders of the High Court per the warrant dated 19 February 2025 for committer for contempt. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes,
Mr. Speaker,
Honourable Minority Leader.
there is a serious revelation in this reset government. Now, can the minister tell us this and bring clarity? He says that a court order against a citizen who is the people's representatives was served on a national security coordinator at the regional level, Eastern Regional National Security Coordinator. And this metamorphosed into NIB operatives enforcing a court order. Can the minister tell us who served this, directed this order to be given to the Eastern Regional Coordinator of National Security for it to be enforced by the NIB against the Honourable Member of Parliament? Can the minister tell us who served this order? Because he said the order was served in his answer. He said the order, the bench warrant, was served on the Regional Security Coordinator. The regional, yes, he's a National Security Coordinator for the region, the Eastern Regional Coordinator.
So, Honourable Minority Leader, are you asking of the name of the server or the process?
No, please, respectfully. The institution, let's deal with the institution. Yes. He says the order was served
yes.
on the Regional National Security Coordinator. And the Regional Security Coordinator also directed NIB. Mr. Speaker, it is important to draw the distinction. National Security Coordinator, he has his institution by law, and then we have NIB also operating by law. I want to know from the minister, which institution directed the order of the court to be served on the National Security Coordinator for it to be effected by his office or her office against the Member of Parliament? We want to know who.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, a while ago, I just drew the attention of this House that crime will be treated as crime. And once a court issues a bench warrant for an individual for a crime committed, it is for the state to ensure that that person is arrested. And Mr. Speaker, this was done in line with our laws. He committed a crime. The court said he has committed crime of contempt. And the court issued a warrant for his arrest. And the state apparatus just have to implement the court decision. And Mr. Speaker, as to who physically took the warrant to the National Security Coordinator or to the police, remember, you are an officer of the court and you know better than I do that in the court building where you are, you have police, you have all the other operatives. Once the court issue a warrant for an individual for committing a crime, I just earlier said it, crime is a crime. It does not know a member of parliament or non-member of parliament. He committed a crime, the court says he should be arrested, and we have to effect the arrest. Give me the Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, I will continue to repeat. we must be careful the president we are serving. Mr. Speaker made a reference to me that I'm an officer of the court, and he said so rightly. When a court gives an order, when a judge sitting as a judge of equity and justice makes an order, that order is to be drawn. And when the order is drawn, the registrar effects service of the order through a bailiff of a court. Mr. Speaker, there's a matter of law and procedure, and I know that there are well-respected lawyers not only on this side but on the other side. The minister is saying that once the court made an order, the NIB, the national security, had a duty to be going around enforcing a court order. My question is very specific. Did the court registrar...
Honorable Minority Leader, what was the order? Let's make a distinction between warrant of arrest and a court order.
Mr. Speaker, with respect, a warrant of arrest properly drawn by a court must be served, must be enforced. I am asking, did the registrar of the court serve the order on the National Security Coordinator in the Eastern Region? Did the registrar serve the order on the officer in Eastern Region? Is that what happened? We want to know.
Honorable Minority Leader, you've asked a question, so he's in to provide an answer.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, that's exactly what I said. I said the National Security Coordinator was served. He was served. Service, as you rightly said, is done by bailiffs. But unless you are telling me I should go and get the fine details, who wrote the warrant, who signed it, who was it handed over to, so that I can take all that line from the courtroom all the way to the National Security Coordinator's office. But you know definitely the National Security Coordinator is not going to walk into the courtroom with an NIB official to say that, oh, once we issue a warrant, can we have it to go and effect arrest? No. Somebody served it in line with the law. So, Mr. Speaker, so far we are concerned, the law was adhered to, a crime was committed, and a crime was committed, and the National Security Coordinator was served for the warrant to be effected. And that was what happened. And unfortunately, they didn't get him. Because if they had gotten him, he would have definitely been arrested. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Minister, thank you for your answer.
Last one. Mr. Speaker, the minister, this is a house of records. This is a house of records. The minister says, unfortunately, they didn't get him. If they had gotten him, they would have arrested him. Mr. Speaker, the minister should know this, that at the time the officers were in Koforidua, in Akwetia, to arrest the MP, the Supreme Court had issued an order by a 4-1 decision freezing the enforcement of those orders. That is one. Two, Mr. Speaker, at the time that those NIB officers were on rampage, they actually made an attempt and pulled a weapon, and the town folks, through the noise they made on the injustice, they had to run away. Mr. Speaker, the minister should not endorse illegality and unconstitutionality. But I want to ask him whether it is part of the NIB's duties.
Honorable Minority Leader, I will recognize the Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, the Minority Leader, and I said it this morning, I continue to get worried about the manner in which the Minority Leader uses the facilities of this House. The opportunity to ask ministers questions is closely governed by Order 86. The type of questions you can ask. You cannot make or imply a charge of a personal character or which reflects upon character or conduct except of a person in an official or public capacity. You cannot ask questions that contain charges which the member asking the question is not in a position to substantiate. These are all matters that govern questions. You've just made statements about some people wielding guns, attempt to use a gun, and etc. If we ask you to substantiate that now, can you do that? With videos and etc. Can you do that now on the floor? Can you do that? Secondly, you've just made a statement questioning the character and integrity of the minister, asking him not to condone unconstitutionality. Says, this is inappropriate. You've asked questions. He's come to answer the questions, to give you answers. You can ask him further questions. But to make a statement that don't condone unconstitutionality and illegality is totally out of place. And coming from you, the Minority Leader, who is supposed to offer leadership on this side, is quite unfortunate. It's quite unfortunate. Don't use this platform for political gimmicking when it is not necessary. And you've consistently tried to do that. We've accommodated you, and I think that you are overdoing it. Please, ask your questions and let him answer the questions. But don't descend into politicking with the questions.
Yes, Honorable Minority Leader, per the rules, you are right. Honorable Minority Leader, ask question.
Mr. Speaker, with respect, thank you. He made an intervention. He went beyond the intervention. I have a right to respond to him. It is very rich that the Majority Leader and Leader of this House is not concerned about an illegal attempt to arrest.
Honorable Minority Leader.
To arrest a member of this House.
Honorable Minority Leader, ask question. Honorable Minority Leader, you do not have the authority to determine the legality or otherwise of an arrest. So, Honorable Minority Leader, ask question. We cannot determine the legality or otherwise of arrest pursuant to a warrant emanating from the court. So, kindly ask question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the Majority Leader, after his intervention, wanted to know about what the existence of a video to substantiate the matters are raised. I want to promise him that I will make available to him those videos of that rampage so that he will know that I speak on facts. He will know. I will serve him copies and at the right time make this thing available to this House. Mr. Speaker, I want to know from the Honorable Minister, from his explanation, he's telling us that the court's registrar served an order on the national security for the purposes of enforcement. May I know,
Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, the question that he has asked is for the Minister for the Interior to ask the Minister for the Interior the circumstances surrounding the attempted arrest of the Member of Parliament for Akwatia, Honorable Ernest Yaokumi, by 10 operatives of the National Intelligence Bureau in 3 official pickup vehicles on Friday, 7 March 2025 in Akwatia. Mr. Speaker, to what extent is he willing to go to determine the circumstance? Whether it was in the morning, it was in the afternoon, whether they were wearing white or red T-shirts, whether they came walking or in a... I mean, what kind of details do you require from the minister? The minister has already indicated that there was a court order, and that is not in dispute because it was debated in this very chamber. So everyone knows about the court order. It was widely covered. Media reported it. There's no doubt about that. You even went to the higher courts trying to freeze the enforcement of the court order. So there's no doubt about the existence of a court order. You ask questions about how the law enforcement agencies got to know that a court order exists. So are you suggesting that when a crime is committed by anybody and the matter is reported by journalists, and even in this house, that person comes and wants to make a statement, and we objected to that person making a statement because of the pendency of a court order, and we felt it to be an insult to the judiciary for us to allow that to happen. And we even raised the issue in this house that ordinarily speaking, the law enforcement agents should be going out to arrest that person. Then they take steps and arrest the person, and you come here and you are holding a minister accountable for what? When thieves steal and they arrest them, do the minister come and answer questions about why the person who stole a fowl has been arrested? When people commit murder and then the minister, they are arrested, then the minister comes to account for how they were arrested. Please, let's not trivialize the business of this house. If he wants that answer, he should come and ask a specific question related to that matter. He will go and prepare and come and answer that.
Mr. Speaker, I think the majority leader is taking his liberties rather too far. The minister is an experienced member of this house and is capable. This attempt at obstructing the whole process, Mr. Speaker, must be stopped. He's a leader of this house and he should know better. This is unacceptable. My question asks about the
Minority Leader, with all due respect, we know the rules that when a question is asked, there is a room for a supplementary. And the supplementary must emanate from the answer given by the minister. So you are now supposed to ask a supplementary question emanating from the answers provided by the minister.
Mr. Speaker, with respect. Mr. Speaker, please, with respect. Order 89 is very clear. I'm holding Order 89. Mr. Speaker, I am not asking anything outside of this. As soon as a question is answered, any member beginning with the member who asked the question may, without notice, ask a supplementary question for further clarification, emphasis, further clarification of any matter or facts on the answer. But a supplementary question shall not introduce a matter not included in the original answer. Now, pay attention. Don't think too political and misconstrue.
So, Honorable Minority Leader, what I said and Standing Order 89, is there any difference?
No, Mr. Speaker, with respect, I need my colleagues opposite me to appreciate the government of my supplementary question. The minister said that National Security Officer in charge in Eastern Region received a court order and directed NIB operatives to effect an arrest. Now, Order 89.1 allows me to ask a question for clarity's sake. So my question for clarity is, how was that court order served? Because contrary to the argument of the majority leader, the fact that a court has made an order does not mean that any state security operative can, upon hearing, go on his own and say, I'm enforcing a court order. So I want to know, for the record, did the court directed the order to be served on the national security officer in charge of Eastern Region for the purposes of enforcement? That is my question.
Well, the minister is up to answer.
Mr. Speaker, I'm sorry to say that I'm also a member of Parliament. And I want to draw the attention of the minority leader to Order 88.7. And Order 88.7, Mr. Speaker, with your permission, I read. A member in asking a question shall not address the House, raise any argument or offer an opinion. Mr. Speaker, unfortunately, the minority leader is arguing with me. I have told him that in the answer, this notice was served through the National Security Coordinator to the NIB. I have answered because you should stop arguing with him because it's flouting our rules. The rules does not allow him to argue with me. So, Mr. Speaker, I'll be grateful that you draw the minority leader's attention to adhere to our rules and stop arguing with me. If he wants answers, he should ask, but he should stop arguing with me. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister.
Honorable Minister, which institution served the order on the National Security Coordinator in the Eastern Region? Which institution?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the court.
Mr. Speaker, that will be all for him. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We move to question number